Kings Island is one of the premier amusement parks in the Cedar Fair chain. Located in Mason, Ohio, Kings Island excels in many areas. It has a strong coaster lineup, great operations, and a wonderful atmosphere. I always have a pleasant time here. So in this video, I will be reviewing Kings Island and explaining everything you need to know about this park. The story begins with Coney Island. Not the New York City one, but rather the one in Cincinnati, Ohio. This was a small amusement park on the banks of the Ohio River. In 1964, the park was hit by a devastating flood. Combined with the lack of land for expansion and the prospects of increased competition, the owners wanted to relocate Coney Island. In 1969, Taft Broadcasting purchased Coney Island for $6.5 million, and then also 1,600 acres in Mason, Ohio. The new site would be named Kings Island, which was an amalgamation of the nearby Kings Mills region and the Coney Island Amusement Park. The new park would take 2 years to build and opened in 1972. 16 of Coney Island's former rides relocated to Kings Island, and 4 of them still operate at the park to this day. While Coney Island would be reborn, it always remained a small locals park. Meanwhile, Kings Island blossomed. The park would receive cutting-edge and large roller coasters over the next 5 decades. From 1992 to 2006, the park was owned by Paramount. In June of 2006, Cedar Fair purchased all the Paramount parks, including Kings Island, and the park has been one of the chain's crown jewels ever since. Kings Island is a massive park spanning 364 acres, but was brilliantly laid out and planned. You have a large parking lot adjacent to the main entrance, and then you have a good layout that spokes outwards from the park's iconic Eiffel Tower. The park's largest rides run into the woods, which helps minimize walking distances between attractions, while also giving the coasters breathtaking settings. These placements are why Kings Island is one of the best amusement parks in the world for night rides. You want to visit this park at night if possible. The Beast is the park's most famous night ride because that coaster is pitch black after the sun goes down, and it travels especially deep into the woods. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Both Mystic Timbers and Diamondback have similarly dark settings, plus more dynamic ride experiences. Banshee is another dark one, and the fog effects give the ride an eerie atmosphere. Orion combines a secluded setting with flashy rainbow lights. And even the supporting coasters are cool at night. Both the Bat and Adventure Express are 2 others that are barely visible from the midway. There are 2 minor downsides with this park's layout though. First, the Bat's placement. This ride is set obnoxiously far back from the rest of the action zone, and it's only accessible by a single desolate pathway. I honestly wonder how many guests miss this ride. Second, the lack of bathrooms. Compared to other parks of this scale, there are a lot less bathrooms as you make your way through the park. Now let's talk about this park's appearance. Kings Island is more of an amusement park than a theme park. While the park only has light theming, most areas have their own distinct feel to them. And most importantly, the park looks good as a whole. The park is very well taken care of. Rides have fresh coats of paint, the park is well landscaped, and the presentation is top notch. Rides have detailed entrance plazas with large picturesque signs. Just look at the one for Banshee, for instance, that radiates fog. Then the park has brilliant use of music. Some rides like Orion and Mystic Timbers have their own dedicated scores, while other areas of the park have twists and familiar music. For example, I love the booming orchestral soundtrack that plays at International Street as you enter the park. It gives the park a grand feel. Kings Island is one of the highest attended seasonal parks in the United States. Thankfully, the park has incredible operations. Most major rides run at least 3 trains with swift dispatches, so lines move quickly, and you'll see a lot of fellow coaster enthusiasts working here. As for when to visit, I would try to avoid Saturdays unless you're willing to purchase the Fast Lane Skip the Line Pass, specifically Fast Lane Plus, for $75 to $100. Although Fast Lane is an awesome way to maximize your visit because it usually dumps you off in the station with 0 wait. I've found crowds manageable on weekdays, and that if you're willing to get wet, a rainy day is a good option to visit Kings Island. Most rides remain open and crowds will be extremely light. On a quiet day or with Fast Lane, you can do all the roller coasters and major rides at Kings Island in a single day. If you plan to experience the water park too, or if you encounter crowds, you may want a second day so you're not rushed. My recommended touring plan depends if you have a season pass. Pass holders get a half hour of early entry. The rides vary depending on the day, but I recommend marathoning the largest ride that's included. Once park opening hits, I would start with Orion and Flight of Fear. These two coasters in Area 72 routinely have the longest lines. Orion because it's the park's most popular coaster, and Flight of Fear because it does not have the best capacity. I would then try to hit Backlot Stunt Coaster and the three big coasters in Rivertown if you can beat the crowds there. If you can't get on Beast, Mystic Timbers, and Diamondback before the masses arrive, those ones do at least improve significantly at night. Another one that is possibly smart to start with is Invertigo. It's located near the front entrance, has a low capacity, and is unreliable, but I prefer to start in either Area 72 or Rivertown because there are multiple popular rides in close proximity to maximize your efficiency. Now let's talk about the ride lineup. Kings Island features 14 different roller coasters, and everyone seems to rank them differently. Most parks have a clear-cut top coaster, but at Kings Island, you have 4 or 5 possible options depending who you ask and what your tastes are. This is one of the reasons that Kings Island's coaster lineup is so strong. There's so much variety and quality top to bottom. My personal favorite here is Orion, the B&M Giga Coaster. Now I know some claim it isn't a true Giga Coaster because the drop is barely 300 feet or 91 meters tall, but the layout is fun regardless. The first drop is one of the best in the world with a copious amount of sustained floater airtime. The first few elements are tall, but the second half has some smaller hills with some really strong floater airtime. This coaster has nice elements and speed, while also being glossy smooth, which makes it an all-around winner, as I talk about in its own review. Diamondback is the B&M Hypercoaster. This one is a floater airtime machine. The first half in particular has some of the strongest airtime of any B&M. The second half is considerably slower, but there's still some weaker floater airtime to be had, plus that picturesque splashdown finale. Banshee is the giant B&M invert. When this ride is running smoothly, it is awesome. You have 7 large inversions, and I love how they offer both force and speed. Then the final inline twist offers some crazy hang time as a contrast. However, I have gotten some very rattly rides on this coaster over the years. It seems to be train dependent, so hopefully you have good luck with this ride. It can make or break your experience. Flight of Fear is the park's biggest launch coaster. Located indoors, this alien-themed creation from Premier Rides features a convoluted spaghetti bowl layout. The first half is 3 forceful inversions, but a trim break midway through the ride saps the second half of its power. The ride has gotten pretty shaky in recent years though, but fortunately the ride was retrofit with lap bars, so it's still tolerable. Backlot Stunt Coaster is the family-friendly launch coaster, also from Premier Rides. This attraction is a deceptively forceful helix at the start that always causes me to gray out. The rest of the layout is pretty tame, but it passes some nice theming and special effects along the way. Adventure Express is another solid option for families. This Aero mine train is located on a hill, so it builds up some nice speed as it goes. I also love how this ride utilizes tunnels, and the finale is one of the craziest of any coaster. Invertigo is a rare Vekoma inverted boomerang. I have rotten luck with this ride, but it's a pleasure when it is operating. The 3 inversions going both forwards and backwards deliver leg-numbing and powerful positive Gs. And it's not too rough either, which is surprising given it was a hybrid of a boomerang and an SLC, both of which are typically rough. Bat is an Aero suspended coaster. This one has a shorter layout, but it stays low to the ground after that initial drop, so it holds its speed well. This results in some wild swinging, particularly in that second half. Mystic Timbers is my favorite wood coaster here, and it's also my favorite night ride at Kings Island. This is the best GCI I've experienced, and it features nearly a dozen hills that pop riders out of their seat while zooming past trees. While the ride appears to have a basic out and back layout, the ride weaves side to side quite a bit to mix in some laterals. And then you have the quirky shed at the end that gives it some character. Check out my review if you want to hear more. There are 3 other wood coasters as well. The Beast still holds the record as the world's longest wooden roller coaster. This ride's setting is legendary. The ride spans over 30 acres alone, and you cannot see any other attraction during your journey. The layout isn't too exciting minus the double helix finale, but it's just so long and unique that it still brings a smile to my face. And for the 2022 season, the ride is receiving a reprofiled drop and a ton of track work, so it may run better than ever. Racer is an iconic and historic racing coaster. Both sides are usually running, and the ride has been extensively retracked, so it's running quite well. The outward leg has some decent pops of airtime, but nothing too crazy. Woodstock Express is perfect for kids, with its colorful paint scheme and approachable ride experience. It's a bit more ambitious than your average kids coaster. But that's not the only junior coaster. You also have Flying Ace Aerial Chase, which is an early Vekoma suspended coaster. However, this ride is pretty jerky, and it can cause some uncomfortable headbanging. Then there is a standard kiddie coaster here on the Great Pumpkin Coaster. It is loved by kids. But if you're a coaster enthusiast, this ride is off limits unless you are a child or accompanying one. Kings Island also is one of the deepest and most interesting ride graveyards, particularly when it comes to roller coasters. These rides alone could form a park worth visiting. Son of Beast was the world's first wooden hypercoaster. It also featured a giant loop, but this RCCA creation was extremely rough. The Old Bat was the first suspended coaster ever from Aerodynamics. While the ride was a mechanical nightmare, the extreme swinging offered a truly wild ride experience. Firehawk was the smoothest Vekoma Flying Dutchman. While I enjoyed this flying coaster's layout and the forces, it was a slow loader and difficult to maintain. Vortex was the most recent casualty. This giant aero multi-looper had some decent airtime-filled drops and 6 fun inversions, but it had increasing maintenance costs and declining ridership. But some notable non-coasters bit the dust as well. The most notable was Tomb Raider, a very well-themed indoor topspin. The ride was severely neutered after the Tomb Raider IP was lost, but it still offered a disorienting ride experience few topspins could match. The park's current collection of flat rides is still pretty strong. You have a collection of smaller spinning rides appealing to guests of all ages, plus 3 standout flats. Drop Tower is a rare Intamin Gyro Drop. This is one of the taller drop towers out there, so it offers stunning views, and the drop is pretty good too, offering solid floater airtime at the start. Windseeker is a Mondial swing ride. The ride's massive height offers similarly amazing views of Kings Island while spinning around. Then Delirium is a Huss giant frisbee. It has a weak cycle in recent years with just 2 max swings, but those max swings offer some nice floater airtime at the apex and solid positive G's in the downswings. You also have 2 sizable upcharge attractions in the Extreme Skyflyer Sky Coaster and the Slingshot. If these rides are of interest to you, ride them early. The park offers steep discounts on them during the first hour or so. I've ridden both of these for just $5 a piece, as opposed to the usual $20 to $30 rate. You will probably never find a cheaper rate for a sky coaster if you've never done one, and they're a true rush. There are also 2 observation rides of note. The best of the bunch is the park's 314-foot or 96-meter tall Eiffel Tower. You can spend as much time as you like on the ride's walking platform admiring the view or snapping photos. Then you also have the Kings Island and Miami Railroad that goes out into the woods, while also giving the best views of Mystic Timbers. The park currently has one dark ride in Boo Blasters. This one features a long ride with more complex ride system than the others, with rotating vehicles. It features the familiar 2D aesthetic, but many of the targets don't seem to work or are non-responsive, which makes it frustrating. For water rides, there are a few. Whitewater Canyon is the best one. It's a well-landscaped Intamin Rapids ride through the woods. You have some solid rapids that can get you quite wet, plus 2 soaking geysers. The log flume may oddly be the wettest of the bunch. Race for Your Life Charlie Brown is a relatively small aero flume, but the way the log bangs through the trough dumps water into the boat. The final splash isn't too bad, but then there's this evil Snoopy sprayer around the corner that nails all riders. Congo Falls is an Intamin Shoot the Chutes ride, with a surprising pop of airtime on the double down drop. If that's not enough, you also have the large Soak City water park attached. Spanning 33 acres, you have some intense body slides here, plus a solid lineup of tube slides. I prefer to focus my time on the dry side because the water park doesn't have any tremendously unique slides, but it's a great option for locals or if you love water parks. For kids, you have one of the best children's sections in the world. The Planet Snoopy area has won the Golden Ticket Award for the best children's area for 18 straight years. The area is colorful and populated with the popular Peanuts characters, and there are nearly 24 rides as well. Some are exclusively for kids. Others can be comfortably enjoyed by kids and parents together. This would be a great section for a kid to grow up with. I haven't watched any shows here, but there is a nightly fireworks display in the summer. It's a short 5-minute display, but it's neat to see a regional park do something like that. The one downside is that it stops the operations of both the Beast and Orion. You can still get a night ride as long as you're in the queue line prior to park closing, it just makes it tough to do both on the same night. I also haven't visited the park for either Haunt or Winterfest. While Haunt has some bonus walkthroughs and is the best time of the year for night rides, I've heard it can get super busy. Winterfest typically has manageable queues and beautiful lights, but the ride lineup is fairly limited. Flight of Fear and Mystic Timbers are the only two major coasters open. Moving on to food, Kings Island does a pretty good job. They are famous for their blue ice cream cones. I've never tried one because I despise sweets, but they're super popular if you look at that line. Their meal food is consistently solid across the board. My favorite place to eat is the Miami River Brew House. The burgers there are very good. Lastly, if you love ride merchandise, Kings Island has you covered. Their gift shops cater to coaster enthusiasts. So do I recommend Kings Island? Absolutely. This is one of the best pure amusement parks in the United States. The ride lineup is wonderful. You have a super deep coaster lineup with many good to great coasters. Then there are some nice complimentary rides for all tastes, including that award-winning Planet Snoopy area for families. The park also has a cheery atmosphere and strong operations, making it a pleasant all-around experience and one of the better Cedar Fair parks. You can get admission as low as $45 online as of 2022, and it is well worth that price point. Or if you're like me, you can purchase a Platinum Pass to get you in all the Cedar Fair properties, including the nearby Cedar Point. So those are my thoughts on Kings Island, the best park in the Cincinnati area. What are your thoughts on this mega park? Do you like the rides and atmosphere as much as me? Let me know what you think about this Cedar Fair park down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.